From the outside, North Korea appears to be an ordinary country, but it is actually a giant prison. The leaders' smiles are fake, and the order on the streets is merely an illusion. When the curtain is lifted, what emerges is one of the most brutal regimes in the world. 1. Iron Lady, Kim Yo-jong's hidden power. One of the most talked about but least seen faces of the North Korean regime is Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong. Although she is presented to the public as the leader's kind sister, behind the scenes she is known as one of the regime's coldest and most ruthless figures. According to South Korean intelligence reports, Kim Yo-jong heads the propaganda machine. All media messages controlling the minds of the people pass through her approval. At the same time, she is known to sit at the head of the table in the leader's most critical political decisions. So much so that when Kim Jong-un's health problems came to the fore, whispers were heard in Pyongyang corridors that if necessary, she will take over the country. Her harsh statements on the international stage, her explicit threats against South Korea, and her insults directed at the US demonstrate her mastery of diplomatic language. In other words, Kim Yo-jong is not just a woman standing in her brother's shadow, she is the regime's second brain, a potential future leader, and North Korea's true Iron Lady. 2. Lifetime soldier, the inevitable mandatory service in North Korea. Military service in North Korea is not just an ordinary duty, but rather a lifelong obligation. Lasting 10 years for men and 7 years for women, it is known as one of the longest mandatory services in the world. When young people reach the age of 17 to 18, they are forced to put their dreams and future plans aside and don military uniforms. During this period, their university education is interrupted, they cannot enter the workforce, and families are torn apart. Most soldiers are put to work in heavy physical labor. They toil in fields, mines, construction sites, and military facilities. In other words, under the guise of military service, there is actually a system of state-sanctioned slavery. Furthermore, life is not easy for those who leave the army. Even someone who has completed their military service cannot escape the state surveillance. They are subjected to loyalty tests for years after their service. Those who try to escape are punished either by execution or by lifelong political camps. Thus, the regime succeeds in keeping not only its army but its entire population under discipline. 3. Smiling surveillance, the role of female traffic police. One of the most striking sights on the streets of Pyongyang is the female traffic police officers in their blue and white uniforms stationed at intersections. From the outside, they represent the modern and disciplined face of the regime. With their orderly movements, robotic salutes, and smiling faces, they are like actors in a propaganda scene. However, their real function is not merely to control traffic flow. These women are also used as a means of surveillance in every corner of the city. They report on who is walking the streets and who is complying with state rules. They are even forbidden from making eye contact with foreigners. Thus, while appearing as a polite element of order to tourists, they become a frightening mechanism of control for the public. These officers are often selected from elite families. As the regime builds them from segments, it is certain of their loyalty. Although they are presented to the outside world as the face of Pyongyang, in reality, their presence is a symbol for the North Korean people of the state constantly breathing down their necks. 4. Missile launchers under golf courses. North Korea's military secrets have always surprised the world, but one of the most striking discoveries came to light in 2024 through satellite imagery. Missile launchers hidden beneath a luxury golf course near Pyongyang proved how the regime had built a strategy of invisibility. What appeared from the outside to be merely a sports facility used by the elite was actually a massive base concealing nuclear capabilities. This situation shows that Kim Jong-un was simultaneously pursuing efforts to create an image of a modern country for his people internally and preparing a deadly threat externally, all within the same space. It is estimated that there are more than 20 such bases and dozens of fake facilities. This creates a concealment network that complicates the work of US and South Korean intelligence. While a people struggles with hunger, their leaders hiding ballistic missiles under million-dollar fake golf courses starkly reveals the regime's priorities. 5. Shadow Women, the dark story of the Pleasure Squad. One of North Korea's darkest secrets, whispered about for years but confirmed by defectors' testimonies, is the Pleasure Squad. This structure is a systematic exploitation system organized by the state. Girls aged 12 to 13 are selected by secret committees based on their beauty and loyalty. These children are then taken from their families, sent to special boarding schools, and subjected to years of physical and psychological training. During this training, they are taught dance, song, massage techniques, and protocol behavior, But there is only one purpose behind all this: to serve the pleasures of the regime's elite. Regime leaders and high-ranking military officers gain access to these women, and after their duties are completed, most are either quietly married off or isolated from society. These women can never control their own lives. Their existence is limited to the roles assigned to them by the state. 6. Kim's DNA obsession, the genetic secret operation. Kim Jong-un's approach to security is not limited to bodyguards, armored vehicles, or secret trains. One of his greatest obsessions is protecting his biological traces. Knowing that intelligence agencies can decipher health information from a strand of hair, a drop of sweat, or a piece of feces, Kim carries his own private toilet with him on every trip abroad. The sole task of a special team accompanying him is to clean every surface he touches, collect the tissues and cups he uses, and even wipe the traces from the chairs he sits on. This practice is carried out with such meticulousness that meeting rooms are disinfected after diplomatic talks, and the furniture used is placed in special bags. Kim's paranoia is not only to conceal his health condition, but also to prevent the regime from appearing weak. Because his illness or physical deterioration is strategic information for the regime's enemies. Therefore, although the North Korean leader appears to be an untouchable figure to his people, he actually views even the smallest biological trace as a deadly threat. His genetic secret operation has gone down in history as a security protocol unparalleled in the modern world. 7. He wasn't man enough. Why his father chose Kim Jong-un. In North Korea, leadership was not determined solely by ideology or political skills. Personal preferences within the family shaped the fate of millions. Kim Jong-il had 3 sons, and there was much debate over who would succeed him. The eldest son, Kim Jong-nam, fell out of favor due to his interest in the West and his love of luxury. The middle son, Kim Jong-chul, was described by his father as too soft, feminine, and lacking leadership qualities. As a result, the youngest brother, Kim Jong-un, was declared the successor while still in his early 20s. In his father's eyes, Jong-un projected a tough and determined profile and had a more harmonious relationship with the military. While this decision appeared to be made to ensure the regime's continuity, it was actually based on a personal assessment. Today, the dictatorship that affects the lives of millions has been shaped by a father's subjective opinions about his sons. 8. Journey to freedom. Stories of escape from North Korea. Escaping North Korea is not just about crossing the border, it is often a gamble between life and death. The most intense escapes occur along the frozen rivers and mine-filled terrain along the Chinese border. People try to cross the river silently in the middle of the night, under the moonlight. Those who fall into the water either freeze to death or are shot by soldiers. The fate of those who make it to China is a separate tragedy. If caught, China will send them straight back to North Korea, which almost certainly means death or being sent to a political camp. Despite this, hundreds of people take these risks every year to escape hunger and oppression. Some families, having made deals with smugglers, invest their life savings in crossing the border. Others send their children alone, hoping they might reach a free future. According to defectors, those caught on this journey are sometimes executed in front of others. Thus, the escape to freedom is not a hope for the North Korean people, but often a journey of death ending in blood and tears.
9. The world's most dangerous counterfeiting, North Korea's $100 trap.
North Korea's secret treasury, Room 39, generates massive revenues not only from drug and arms trafficking, but also from counterfeit currency production. In particular, counterfeit $100 bills known as supernotes have been alarming the U.S. Treasury since the 1990s. These bills are printed with such high quality that it is almost impossible to distinguish them from the real thing. U.S. intelligence agencies have conducted operations for years to collect these counterfeit bills from the market, but North Korea's counterfeiting was so professional that they were often unsuccessful. It is estimated that the regime earned hundreds of millions of dollars a year through this method. This money was funneled directly into the nuclear weapons program and the luxurious lifestyle of the ruling family. In other words, an innocent $100 bill circulating on the street has become a tool that feeds Pyongyang's secret missile program. This is not just an economic crime, it is also seen as a financial warfare tactic.
10. The leader's extravagance, the people's injury, deep poverty in North Korea.
North Korea is one of the countries experiencing the sharpest contrasts in the world. While the capital Pyongyang boasts luxury villas built for the elite, private markets, and tables laden with foreign liquors, most people in rural areas struggle with hunger. According to UNICEF data, Approximately 40% of children in the country suffer from developmental disorders due to chronic malnutrition. Inefficient agriculture, poor state planning, and international sanctions are among the main causes of this poverty. Ironically, however, while the regime flaunts its nuclear power and military displays to the outside world, it hides the fact that its people are dying of hunger inside. Food aid often bypasses the most needy segments of the population and is diverted to the military and party elites. Thus, the image of a leader for the people is nothing more than an illusion, as he knowingly abandons his own people to death. 11. Starving children, fake embraces, Kim Jong-un's mask. One of the most frequently repeated images on North Korean state television is Kim Jong-un embracing children, who cry as they give flowers to their leader. These images are the most important part of the regime's "the leader is the father of the people" propaganda. Children crying in public squares and students lining up to hug him during school visits are actually staged scenes prepared by the regime. In reality, most of these children are struggling with hunger. According to UNICEF reports, 4 out of every 10 children in North Korea grow up with chronic malnutrition. In schools, it is often impossible to find notebooks, pens, or even proper meals. Despite this, the state serves up these artificial scenes to the public and the world to portray Kim Jong-un as the savior of children.
12. Hot dogs banned.
The crazy war against Western cuisine. In North Korea, even the most ordinary things are seen as an ideological threat by the regime. One of the most interesting examples of this was the hot dog ban that came to the fore in 2025. Selling or eating this simple food, seen as a symbol of Western culture, was defined by the regime as treason. Some street vendors caught selling hot dogs in Pyongyang were sent to forced labor camps. This incident reveals the paranoid extent of North Korea's cultural war against the West. While the people are starving, the banning of even a cheap and easy-to-prepare food proves how irrational the regime's priorities are. Moreover, this ban is not limited to food. The regime strictly controls words, music, clothing, and even hairstyles coming from the West. The hot dog ban is not just a decision about a food item. It is a symbolic example of how North Korea has turned into a cultural prison behind closed doors.